Yar, it be Tuesday, September the 19th, and this be Geeknights. Tonight on this fabulous Talk Like a Pirates Day, we be talking about the video game called Pirates. It be a glorious day, the highest of pirate holidays.
Indeed, there was much booty gathering.
Yes, me co-workers not be believing in the pirate's creed. I done slain them all.
I not be having co-workers, for I have mutinied and killed a lot of them.
Though today's episode will be quite authentic, for I, Rim, aka DJ Plunder, have made actual grog. I'm drinking it currently from Puss's rum, the rum that was used by the actual British Navy.
I have already drunken all of the rum aboard me ship.
Yeah, ye
I
have
am
not
left
to
with
ship.
only cannonballs.
Ye have not to ship, and ye have not any rum. But anyway, as the episode be progressing, me be getting more and more piratey in me intoxication.
So let us make haste and progress with our pirate podcast.
You be knowing, I note that even in a pirate's tongue, you still say the ums and likes.
Pirates are known for their arms and our likes.
Arr.
Aye.
Yar, so Nintendo be making vast strides against ye mighty pirates. They be region locking the Wii.
Region locking. So when I am pirating their games from Muslim ships of gold, I cannot be playing them in the Caribbean.
Nay, we be needing modder chips. So I be wondering why Nintendo be doing such a dastardly thing to ye noble pirates. And I've got a few ideas. A, it seems that Nintendo wishes to look over the Europeans who do not buy the video games so much, and they do not be caring about the market there. And B, it seems that they always be afraid of piracy, as they had much resisted the use of the... And B, they had very much disliked us pirates, and they had been using whatever forces they had to prevent our piracy. Such things as not wanting to go to easily copyable discs, and thus causing the N64 to fail. And of course, there be the differences between PAL and the NTSC, which means that region coding might just be a byproduct.
Well, Nintendo be from the land of Japan, where there are many ninjas, the mortal enemies of pirates, so it is no... So it is not unexpected that they would impose region locks to thwart piracy.
So, be ye having a news, ye scurvy dog?
Well, the very same Nintendo and their new console, the Wii.
The Revolution.
There be many pre-orders available from Amazon and the Nintendo World Store. However, they are now sold out.
That'd be a strong grog I be drinking. Well, at least ye be getting your pre-order in at the actual home.
And the rumor be that the reason pre-orders are no longer available be that they want to make sure that anyone who already has a pre-order is guaranteed to get a system, for they do not know just how many those blasted ninjas will bring over the ocean. And they do not know how many I will plunder from their ships as they cross the Pacific.
A freebooter ye be.
That we be.
Now, of course, before we be making to the things of the day, ye must be knowing that it is mighty difficult to speak like a pirate. And thus, if ye be having difficulty on this holiest of days, I suggest ye be following the link in our show notes, which shall be describing the mighty ways of speaking like a pirate.
What do you do with a drunken sailor? What do you do with a drunken sailor? What do you do with a drunken sailor early in the morning?
Now, as ye be knowing, a pirate's life is mighty short, but we have many hobbies and things that we love to do and we not be plundering. Perhaps the greatest thing a pirate can ever do is enjoy a good game of hockey.
And what is great about the game of hockey? Why do pirates enjoy this sport?
Well,
is it because they enjoy the cold? No. Is it because they enjoy nets and pucks and sticks? No.
It is because we enjoy plundering.
There ain't be any plundering in hockey.
Yeah, there be. We be taking that silver cup they be tossing back and forth that ice.
Yeah.
then.
Nay, the reason pirates love the game of hockey is because it involves much brawling.
Well then, I be beginning a mutiny against Scott here. For yesterday I remember that he had made a thing of the day that was about a hockey player who was knocked out. I now have a video of at least 100 hockey players all being knocked out.
Aye, were they knocked out by pirates?
Yes. No, not at all. Yes. Pirates not be caring about ye petty semantic arguments and logic. Pirates be caring about the knockouts. And the gold.
Were they knocked out by gold? My thing of the day actually involves pirates playing hockey.
Ye thing of the day be nothing. Ye be not a pirate. Ye be but a scurvy dog.
Nay, only scurvy dogs be the Providence Bruins, who dared to play hockey against the mighty Portland Pirates in a game of ice hockey in the year of 1993 or 1994.
It be a little known fact that no hockey team had ever defeated the Pirates, for whenever they tried to score a goal, we simply shot them with our cannons.
Aye, but at this game, we were sadly absent, for there was much booty to be gathering across the town, and the Portland Pirates and the Providence Bruins had a mighty brawl, which rocked the entire arena.
I think we be toning down the pirate talk a bit. It cannot be done.
What kind of pirate are ye?
I be a pirate who has had too much grog.
And that is a fine pirate. There is no other kind.
Fine, perhaps I am the captain of the ship that goes off to fight the pirates.
Then blast ye with this cannon. Doom.
Right.
Blub, 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 blub.
I don't think we can do this anymore.
Ye be a wuss.
Me?
I mutiny.
I think at this point our listeners need to know that we've cut out about 50% of this episode, which consisted of nothing more than us laughing hysterically. And I don't know if there's actually any continuity in what we've said for the past 10 minutes.
I don't know. Did anyone get that at all?
I could barely understand what I was saying. I mean, it's one thing to talk like a pirate. It's another thing to try to talk like a pirate about things that aren't very piratey at all.
Like video games.
And also the fact that we'd talk for about a minute, we'd crack up, we'd cut that out, we'd forget what we were talking about, and then we'd pick up where we left off.
Yeah, but hey, you gotta observe the holidays, you know? I mean, what you gonna do?
Talk like a pirate.
That's all right. That's all right.
Yar. Anyway... Anyway, the truth is that I have indeed been drinking actual grog throughout this entire episode. All I have to say about grog is that it tastes really good, but it burns when it goes down.
Yeah, he made the grog by combining water, lemon juice, and sugar, which is lemonade, and rum.
Not just rum. Normal rum is not 100 proof. This is Pusser's
Yeah,
rum.
we're not talking about Captain Morgan, that piece of...
Captain
scurvy
Morgan,
dog,
not
Captain
piratey.
Morgan is sent into Davy Jones' locker.
No, this is actual British Navy rum.
Pusser's rum, the finest rum on the sea.
Actually, it's pretty rank.
Yeah, it is.
I couldn't drink this
It's
stuff.
basically concentrated poison.
Good God. Yeah, you tried a teaspoon of it at one point.
Good God.
It tastes like poison.
It is poison. But that's what pirates be drinking.
I've drunk maybe a 100th of this bottle since I bought it.
Was it worth buying it?
I'd say so.
Okay.
Just for today. Just so I could actually drink grog and talk like a pirate day.
All right.
Anyway, talk like a pirate day is awesome, but as I don't know if you guys actually would want to listen to us try to talk about a game like pirates.
I don't know. It's pretty hard on our throats, but I'm sure everyone else would get a big kick out of it if we managed.
See, the thing is, we have often lapsed into these sorts of pseudo-languages in the past. We'll probably do a whole show on this topic at some point. But there was a time in RIT when, for some reason, we started speaking like cavemen. Not pirates, but cavemen.
Well, that was because you were playing Settlers of Catan. And when you play Settlers of Catan, you say things like, ooh, wood for sheep.
Ook would give or smash.
I build road, you give brick, I give 2 rocks.
So we started doing that in other games. And then one day, we started doing it in our daily lives. And it got to the point where we actually had a little bit of trouble speaking normally.
Yeah, or just, I mean, like, when I, like, raised my hand in class, I wouldn't talk like a caveman, but whenever we were around with the crew, everyone would go to caveman talk.
Like, it got like we'd go to a restaurant, and I'd almost say something like, "Chili be wanting," or "Chili be give do, eat will."
Isn't it funny how cave talk is pretty close to pirate talk?
It's also pretty close to Hebrew.
Yeah, well, I think it's just that the Hebrew language, if you try to translate it, directly to English, is they don't have a lot of, the at least modern Hebrew. They don't
The amenities of modern language.
Yeah, so it translates a lot like cave talk. So if you want to say, like, who is that, you say, like, who he. That's how it goes.
Anyway, we do nominally have a topic for today. It's a game that we both played on different systems, and the game's been released for, a million freaking systems. But before we get into that, what's the pirate's favorite video game? R-Type. What's a pirate racer's favorite type of car?
A GTR.
No, a Type R.
Okay.
What's a pirate's second favorite video game?
The
The Legend of Zelda.
There would not be such a game.
All right, I think we're done.
Not
celebrating.
our Revolution Racing.
Ridge Racer.
Ridge Racer.
Yeah, we're being silly today. Wow, we were tired yesterday. We're silly today. I promise the rest of the week will be normal.
No, it won't.
I won't, not at all.
Not a chance.
But anyway, the game we said we wanted to talk about because it's easy.
Silly season.
Now, the game is Sid Meier's Pirates, and it's a really old game that's been released for a whole bunch of different systems. I played it on the NES, and Scott played it on the Genesis.
Well, I played it on a Genesis emulator. This thing, though, you got to understand how old this game is. This thing came out for the Amiga, the Apple II, the Apple II GS, the Atari, the Commodore, the Mac,
And all the other
the
systems listed
Amstrad CPC,
on the Wikipedia
the
article
NES.
that you're reading right now.
Yeah, a lot of freaking systems. And we're going to be talking about the old version. We haven't played the new version that came out in 2004.
However, from what I've heard, the new version is pretty much the same game.
Yeah. At least that's what I've heard also.
Now, a lot of people talk about Grand Theft Auto and how this game was revolutionary for its open gameplay and how you could just go anywhere and do anything, and there were no real, fully defined victory conditions. You just got out of it whatever you wanted, but there were missions in case you wanted to try to follow the story. This game was basically Grand Theft 16th century boats.
That's exactly what it was. You started in a town, and in the town you could hire a crew, buy a boat, all that sort of stuff. You could get a writ of, what's it called? You could get a letter of marque, which is basically a privateering license.
Yep, and you would start out as either a Dutch or a British or a Spanish or all these different, all the nationalities around, depending on what centuries you're playing in. And then you'd start as them, and nominally, you were supposed to prey on the shipping of nations that your nation was at war with. So say you're British, and the British are at war with the French, and you see a French ship. You're perfectly within your rights to attack that ship. But the thing is, you could just attack any ship. You could just say, screw it, and attack British ships. You could just raid a town if you wanted to, or go searching for buried treasure, which was all over the place. Yeah. Also, the Spanish had their gold armada going around, and there was also the silver train going around from town to town, and you could try to capture that. You could try to marry women. The game was just completely open-ended.
Yeah, I mean, most of what you do to try to win is you want to get as much gold as you can, and then you go back to wherever if you decided to get a letter of marque, and you would say, haha, look at all this gold, and then you would get the best ending. But there were other ways, to go about the game, and, you could stop playing it anytime you wanted and start playing anytime you wanted.
Yep, and the game, it wasn't over if you lost. One time I lost my ship, and all that happened was I was captured, held in prison for 4 years, then I escaped, but now I had a disease, so I was sick, and I was much older.
Yeah. The game is really a whole bunch of smaller games sort of tied together into the same system. I mean, the boat fighting another boat is one game, shooting cannonballs and sailing around a little mini-map. And then there's the sword fighting game where you actually board another ship and have to sword fight the other captain, and that's another game. Then attacking a fortress on the land is a whole nother game. And then managing your resources is yet another game, and they're all tied together. Navigating around the world is another game.
Yep, and the world map was large and somewhat complex, and towns would change hands, and towns would figure out, like, say you're an enemy of the British, but you're fine with the Dutch, and you're going around, and you attack a Dutch ship at some point, and then you go to a Dutch town, everyone's fine. You go to another Dutch town, everyone's fine, because no one heard about it yet. But then a ship that ran afoul of the people who you have attacked get to a town, and then word starts spreading. And one day you go to a Dutch port, and every time you go to a port, it always asks you, do you want to sail in openly, sneak in, land the ship far away and walk in, or attack? And if you just sail into town, but word had spread that you were actually a pirate, suddenly they start shooting at you and your ships might get sunk.
Yeah, the advantage of sailing into town openly is that it's real easy to buy goods and load them up on your boat. But if you really need to do business in the town, like talk to someone in the town or something like that, you can always sneak into town. And sometimes you can sneak into town and take it over that way.
Yeah.
Or you could, it was very easy, actually, once you got the hang of it and you had enough resources, to just sail your boat into town and blow it up. Unless they had a wicked fortress.
And even then, you just park your boat upstream a bit and march your army of sailors into the town.
Yep. That's the thing, is there were a lot of mini games, and they all were pretty cool, but once you figured them out, they became stupid. Like, if you know what you're doing, you should win every sword fight, every single time.
Yep, and in terms of ship combat, it basically came down to, there's a whole bunch of different kinds of ships. But in a fight, you really always just want to use the tiniest, crappiest ship with this one little cannon, and just circle around the enemy ship going ping, 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 until they eventually started sinking.
Yeah, because if you know, it's as soon as you build the skill of sailing that boat, no one can hit you. No matter what they do, unless they also have the same boat, in which case you want to collide with them and then do the sword fight thing.
Now, the gameplay really satisfies, at least early on, this urge I have for types of games that don't exist so much anymore. The empire-building kind of games where you have a large thing to manage and you travel around managing it, and everything matters. Like if you find a ship and you capture it, now you've got 2 ships in your armada. So you put half your supplies on one ship, but all your sailors on the other ship. You move stuff around, and you basically just travel around the world. If you run into a ship, it says, you see a ship in the distance. It has British flags. What do you want to do? Oh, a town. I'll go in and do this. Oh, the governor doesn't like me. Maybe I'll bribe him.
Yeah, and the game doesn't give you any direction at all. I mean, if you decide that you want to play a game where you sink ships of France and you don't do anything else, you're basically going to be a warboat. You can be a warboat and not do any pirating at all. If you want to go and just look for buried treasure and not do anything else, you can go and try to do that. It might fail because you might run out of resources or something, but you're welcome to try.
Now, the game had 1 million, you could start in all these different centuries, and it was very historical. The game was really designed to teach you a lot about that age of sailing and piracy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, in the years in which, France and Britain, made peace and then went to war again and made peace and went to war again. That happens in the game. So you'll be fighting a French ship if you're British, and then you'll land in a port and there'll be news that there's peace between Britain and France, and the peace was made before you started fighting that guy.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
or what was more fun is when you'd go into town somewhere and you'd head off and you're British, and then you see French, and you're allied with the French, and you see a French ship, you're like, all right, hello, and you try to go in, they attack you, what the fuck? And then you end up in a French town, and they attack you, and then you find out that you're at war.
Yep, it's pretty crazy like that, because it accurately models the slowness of communications all those centuries ago when they didn't have internets and telephones or anything, and the boat was the fastest way to get information, and you're in one, and you're still getting it way too late.
Now, the game also taught you a lot about geography and about colonization. Which countries colonized which islands and which parts of the Americas when.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of time you spend sailing around the Caribbean, and you can see pretty accurately, hey, there's a city there on Jamaica, and, look who's got it. Now, you learn, those are the people who took over Jamaica and colonized that island, and then...
Of course, you could totally throw a monkey wrench in that by, conquering places, installing your own governors on behalf of the king.
Well, of course, but, at least if you sail around and just look at the way stuff is, after many plays of the game, you learn what it's like, and, Now,
yeah. Sadly, the game is really fun for about an hour.
I'd say the game's fun until you figure it out. If you haven't figured out the sword fighting, and you haven't figured out the ship combat, and you haven't done everything, you haven't taken a town, you haven't found a buried treasure, it depends on your skill level. How long does it take you to do everything once and become the master of all these different little games. Once you've reached that point, then the game has nothing else for you because you can just play it and do whatever you want with nothing standing in your way.
There's also the fact that the gameplay gets very tedious because it basically ends up, if you want to sail somewhere, you sail in game time with no way to speed it up or slow it down. So your ship is just going and going and going and going and going and going for minutes and minutes and minutes, occasionally running into other ships, but if you're in a depopulated area, sometimes there's not even ships around, just nothing.
Yeah, and sometimes it's pretty annoying because the wind will go against you. You know, it actually teaches you pretty well about trade winds and, you know, sailing routes and sea lanes and all that stuff, you know, the way the wind goes. But if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know where the good winds are, you could end up sailing against the wind for like 10 minutes, not getting anywhere.
Yep, meanwhile, your crew is running out of food and rum, and they're getting pissed off.
And they're getting scurvy.
And then they mutiny.
And then pirates come and get you.
Yeah, the thing about the game is that there are actual pirates out there, too. And usually, until you learn the game, they'll just kick your ass.
Yeah, the pirates are rightly the most dangerous guys in the game most of the time. And they have these,
well, other than the British Navy.
Yeah, well, I mean, they have these black boats that sail around and kind of show up randomly. And if they kick your ass, you're in big trouble. But if you kick their ass, it kind of sucks because if you attack, say, a French boat, there's a pretty good chance there's something on it. A pirate boat, you got like a 1 in 3 chance of them having pirated something already. You know, they might not have anything because they're pirates and they used it all.
The game also really paid attention to a lot of detail that you probably wouldn't know or care about unless you read a fact of how it calculated all this crap. But I mean, the weather and the kinds of ships you used mattered, supposedly, but it never really was clear in the game how it all mattered. And you pretty much ended up just ignoring all that stuff, even though you know it's all in there.
Yeah, it's sort of like for sword fighting, you could choose if you had like a rapier, a sword, or what was the other one?
I don't remember, a cutlass or something?
Yeah, or a cutlass, or a scimitar. You had a choice of swords, and it really didn't matter at all which sword you chose, and you usually chose the rapier just because it was the easiest to win with.
You also designed your pirate character, and you got to pick what he was good at.
Yeah.
I always picked charming.
I always picked sword fighting because the sword fighting was the way to win all the sword fights automatically, and it would just take less time to win them if I had sword fighting.
See, I won them automatically just by having more guys, usually.
See, I was
charming.
See, my goal is every sword fight, I basically hit the other guy till he died and never got hit myself. So I could have one guy, and I would do just as well at the game as if I had 100 guys.
Now, sadly, there aren't so many other good pirate games. I can't name really any particularly good games that are pirate-themed, other than Monkey Island.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course, Monkey Island. But if video games, yeah, it's pretty hard to find pirate-themed video games. I mean, there are a bunch of One Piece games, but they're all like fighting games and stuff, and they're not that great, you know, from what I've seen.
Yep, and for what
I
we've
played
read,
one in the store once.
the new Sid Meier's Pirates, if I said this before, is pretty much the same as this game, just pretty.
Yeah, it's 3D, and it's new, and I never played it, but I'm just going on hearsay.
I wanted it, but I still saw it for like $50, so...
Yeah, and I don't think either of our my computer could probably play it.
My computer can't.
No, it can't. Maybe when we get new computers, we'll get like a used copy or something, or we'll pirate it.
Yar.
Yar. Yeah. What other pirate video games are not easy to come by?
Even pirate board games. We were burned by that a bunch of times. There's a lot of German board games that are pirate-themed, and without exception, they're all ass.
Well, I think Meuterer, which is a card game actually, is a good pirate game.
It's the least ass.
It is. Meuterer is probably the best pirate-themed board card game ever.
The game seemed... I don't remember if we really talked about the game in depth. The game seems kind of broken, but it's still fun to play.
Yeah, it's really fun. It might be a little broken. It just, basically, once everyone knows how to play, whatever, we're not going to talk about Meuterer now, but let's see, what other pirate games are there? There's that game that everyone plays with the little put-together ships.
Oh, the cardboard collectible ships.
Yeah, the Pirates of the Spanish Main or whatever it's called. It actually looks like an okay game. I just don't want to collect ships. I mean, if there was some way that's like you just buy the game in a box and that's it, then I would be cool with it. But I'm really against the collecting bit.
Well, see, the way people explained that game to me was that if you know anything about ships, it's really annoying because the ships move more like starships than they do like actual ships.
I think that's why they released a new game that has a similar system that uses rocket ships.
We should try to play that Steve Jackson pirate game.
Which one's that?
The paper one that we never played.
Yeah, maybe we should. That might be cool. There was what was that one we played once that was basically like had a treasure map? It was like a kid's game.
I wasn't there and I didn't play it.
Oh, it was like a treasure map with a bunch of squares.
It was like you and Luke playing that game.
Yeah, I mean, like you go around the map looking for the treasure. It's pretty
Lame.
It's a pretty lame kids game. And there's some other ones, I've seen that like Pirates Cove or something. I don't know what they're actually called. I've seen it around, and you sail around bringing goods from island to island and stuff like that.
It surprises me that pirates are so well loved among geeks. I mean, geeks seem to be split pretty much 50-50 pirates or ninjas, yet there are a billion ninja games for every video game system ever. No pirate games.
But I think it's just the pirate theme doesn't really lend itself very well to.
What are you talking about? You could have a ship combat game. Straight up.
Oh, I know. There's Pirates, Vikings, and Knights.
Ah, yeah. I forgot about that game.
Yeah. Okay. There's an old mod for Half-Life 1 that's free. Well, Half-Life 1 isn't free. The mod is free. Called Pirates, Vikings, and Knights.
Now, you might be wondering, what is this game about?
It's basically a death match on a bunch of different maps in which pirates, Vikings, and Knights fight each other. And you can choose which team you want to be on, and then after you choose your team, you can choose your class. So, like, if you're a knight, you can either be, like, the peasant, the super armored knight.
It was like the archer, the knight, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so the pirates was, like, the guy with the handheld cannon.
You mean the captain with the blunderbuss?
Yeah, the guy with the hook and the guy with the sword.
That was also the captain, Scott. That was also the captain.
Whatever, there was the guy with the parrot.
All those things you said were the captain.
The captain's the only one you should play as. The other guy sucks.
Whatever.
The other guy's a gun, right? It's like a pistol.
Yeah, basically the game was cool because there's these treasure chests, and they're really big and heavy. And you're all fighting, and you all have a base. And the knights have all these treasure chests, and they're trying to protect them. The pirates and the Vikings are both trying to steal these chests from the knights, drag them back to their own base, and they get points for how long they sit there in their base. And when they get stolen, the knights try to get them back.
Yeah, the knights are actually the most dangerous guys in the game. They have like those
that's the point.
Giant swords that chop you in half. And
it's two kinds of game. One, it's the pirates and the Vikings together versus the knights. But then the pirates and the Vikings are competing with each other over the chests as well.
And you can kill anyone. I mean, team kill should be on in a game like this.
The game was really poorly done, but that just made it more awesome.
Yeah, you know how you play Counter-Strike and then I think this was something really enlightening. I was watching a video with the guy who worked on Team Fortress 2, which isn't out yet. And he was like, when you play an FPS, inevitably silly things happen. You play NS and people dance on the cheese. You play Counter-Strike and a guy will blip through the door, or, guys will pile up and do something silly, or, there'll be a toilet and something funny happens, And in every FPS you'll play, they try to fight against the fact that FPS engines have this quality to them, They try to make the game really serious, and, if a silly thing happens or a glitch happens that's hilarious, they try to take it out of the game and make it so it doesn't happen to ruin the mood of the game of serious military action.
This game, pretty much the first thing everyone would ever try to do is make the treasure chest break somehow or disappear.
Yeah, Team Fortress 2, the guy said, what we want to do in this game is just embrace that, and I think Pirates and Vikings and Knights is the game that first embraced this quality. Especially since the maps are so complicated and Half-Life 1, that shit was just bound to happen that was out of control.
Yep. Though granted, I think Natural Selection embraced it, but in an entirely different way.
Well, I think the community embraced it. I don't think the game embraced it.
Well, the game did in a couple little ways. Like, for one, the reason the gorge jumping was so cool is because they never actually put in the jumping animations. The gorge just kind of floated around. And all the players demanded that they leave it that way, even though they could have fixed it. And two, they set up the ready rooms with stuff in them. So no matter what, silly stuff would happen in there. Like, they designed those rooms for silly stuff to happen.
Yeah, I guess. But, other than that, the game, inside the game, they didn't want silly things to go on. It was supposed to be a serious, dark, and moody, alien versus human marine thing.
Well, I guess my question to all of our listeners is, are there good pirate games? What are they? What are they?
Yeah, I know there was like some sort of average crappy-ass pirate game for the PS2, and I know there's a lot of games that are like Air Pirates, or
now,
other...
we're not talking about Crimson Skies, because while Air Pirates are perhaps the coolest thing that has ever been conceived by humankind, I really consider them to be above and beyond this conversation.
I also agree.
I'm talking about pirates with scurvy, ugly beards, cutting people with swords, and collecting gold, and then not actually doing anything with that gold because they're pirates.
Yeah, I'm sure there are games based on Pirates of the Caribbean, the movie and stuff.
I don't think those games are good. If they are, prove us wrong.
Yeah, I also don't think those games have any chance of being good if they exist. There are pirate games. The thing is, none of them are of note. I mean, the one we talked about, Sid Meier's Pirates, is besides Monkey Island, those two are the most notable pirate games, and none of them are that recent. I mean, even the new Sid Meier's Pirates came out, 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, come on. Where are the good pirate games? We got ninja games out the ass. Where are the pirates at? Where's the respect? Arr.
So I guess I be closing with the final note that starting tomorrow, the pirate talk will be gone, as will the tiredness and some of the silliness, and the show will be back to what it usually is. Arr. That really hurts my throat, so I can't do that anymore.
Yar, and if you be wondering why we be talking in the pirate fashion for most of this episode,
If you're wondering that, then you're an idiot.
you should be visiting a certain website. And you should be using the internets and keeping your eyes open.
Actually-
What kind of geek are ye?
Actually, I'll end this with a funny anecdote from Emily, who, as we learned in the forums, was incredibly popular when she appeared on the show.
Mm-hmm.
But she, studies film and animation, and she was in a class, I think it was last year, when they, people were pitching their ideas for something, like a project. And one guy had this great idea to have some pirates and some ninjas, and they fight. And, the class has to critique it. And she says, well, that's cool and all, but isn't that idea just completely overdone? And the guy had no idea. He didn't know. He had no idea that this pirate versus ninja thing has been a staple of the internet for like 7 years. He had absolutely no clue at all. And and a lot of people in the class didn't either. And she had to explain it to him, which I can't imagine that.
Yeah, it's like there's this whole world and people have to stay in touch with it. And, it's like, it's one thing, like I am not in touch with the pop culture world, but that is on purpose. I know it's there and I can tell if someone is talking about something that is pop culture and I say, oh, okay, that's something I don't know in pop culture. And I can try to figure it out if it seems like something I have to know.
I can tell when there are rumblings in the pop culture world because I can see the natives scrambling and there's chatter. Whenever something happens in that world, all the people at my work are chattering about it, and I hear tidbits like blah, 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 Paris Hilton, blah, something, oh my God, blah. And
Yeah.
I kind of piece together what's going on.
And little tidbits of it pop up every now and then on Google News and Dig and all that stuff. But, to not be in touch at all with what's going on in the internet.
Especially if you're in college and you don't know about pirates versus ninjas.
Yeah. If you're making movies about pirates and ninjas, pretty much before you do anything, you should Google it. That's the rule from now until a very long time in the future. Google everything before you do it. Especially, to make sure, wake up and Google to the day, every day you wake up, to make sure it's not a holiday. Like Talk Like a Pirate Day.
And as a final note, because people seem to wondered a bit, and some people didn't seem sure if we would celebrate Talk Like a Pirate Day or not. We've celebrated Talk Like a Pirate Day for as long as we have known that it has existed.
I think we've celebrated every single one.
I think so, because it started kind of recently.
Yeah, it started a long time ago, but it was popularized.
It started in terms of the internet made a big deal about it recently.
Yeah.
Like in the last, 4 or 5 years.
Very, very recently. So we're on top of it. It's like it's so weird. It's like I was raised Jewish, right? And I celebrated holidays like Purim and stuff every single year of my life.
I was raised in a normal white bread suburban family, and because we were nominally Catholic, just because I went to Catholic school, we celebrated, Christmas and Easter and all that stuff.
Now I celebrate Talk Like a Pirate Day. I'm more observant of that holiday than pretty much any other holiday.
I pretty much only celebrate Talk Like a Pirate Day, Thanksgiving, but the way I celebrate that is I eat a whole bunch of food.
Yeah,
with
the way
people.
I observe all the other holidays is I either get a day off of work or I don't.
Yeah.
This is the only holiday where I actually do something.
In fact, for any of our longer time listeners, you might remember what happened to us last Christmas.
Yeah, that's a funny one. Go back and listen to that.
Yeah, I could repeat it here.
Oh, no, don't go back and listen. That's probably terrible, but...
God, that was a long time ago.
Yeah. But it'll be funny.
Are we going to have to be like George Lucas and remaster all of our early episodes?
No, we're just going to put them all in one DVD and then sell them.
You know what I'm going to do if we ever release Geeknights on a DVD or something?
Mm.
I'm going to add Jabba the Hutt and Greedo shooting first, randomly.
Good idea.
We'll have a special edition.
With extras. It costs more and it comes in a tin box.
Yeah, and it'll have those Geeknight scenes that we always wanted to add, but we didn't have the technology to add.
Ah.
Like, I can't think of anything funny. I can't think of anything funny at all.
Like when Long John Silver came into the room right now and shot Rim in the head.
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't afford to get the Foley and all that, make the special effects for it.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Muppet Treasure Island is awesome.
I promise, starting tomorrow, Geeknights will be back on track with the show you know and love.
I think this is the show they know and love. The show that tomorrow is the show they hate.
Yeah, I seem to get that impression. The more we hate an episode we do, the more people seem to like it, and vice versa.
Yeah, I mean, someone yesterday was backing me up on the AC-97. Who would have thought about that? I wouldn't have thought. Anyway, we're done. Arr.
Arr. And that was Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for our opening theme.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com. If you like our podcasts, you'll love our forums. Make sure you visit them. You can send your email feedback to geeknights@gmail.com. And if you want, you can leave us a voicemail at 206-333-1537.
Geeknights airs every weeknight, Monday through Thursday.
Geeknights is recorded with absolutely no studio and no audience. But unlike those other talk shows, it's actually recorded at night.